Hey, you guys.
Welcome, everyone.
How you doing, Phil?
Yeah, we're doing okay.
At least somebody's doing okay.
Yeah, just getting excited for next week.
Oh, yeah, you're going on a trip. That's right, guys.
Next
He
week,
is,
I'll be in Ireland, so
man, that should be fun. That
it's going to be
should
fun.
be
I know it
fun.
will be.
So what's the time difference?
6 hours from Chicago, 5 hours from East Coast.
So that's
So if something starts at noon, I'll be at noon Eastern time. It'll be 5 my time. 5 in
Jesus
the evening.
Christ. That,
So if
that's
we're
like,
doing the Army Navy, game next week, it'll most likely start at either 7 or 8 my time in Ireland.
good God. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys. Well, today we're going to focus on 1863.
Yep.
But there is a catch.
Mhm.
Phil's gonna do all of the work. I just came back from
Well,
the so
well, it does help that I'm very much into Civil War history, so
so
I'm
yeah,
very,
he put it,
I
yeah.
should clarify it's the American Civil War. Okay, because there have
So
been other civil wars, but this is in regards to what we're talking about. This is the American Civil War. So
yeah, so go right ahead, Phil. You know me.
so
I'm just
coming into 1863, the Union or the North had just suffered one of the most humiliating defeats probably of the entire war
really.
in Fredericksburg, Virginia.
So what happened?
Uh, Basically, it was an ill-fated offensive attack against very, very dug in and entrenched Confederate troops.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was a slaughter. I mean,
Really, like how many people? A lot of people died.
I'm trying to get the because I mean the Union lost way more than. All right, so let's see here. Yeah, it's one of the most humiliating defeats in terms of the North. It was
Mm-hmm.
fought between December 11th and 15th, 1862.
Okay.
Obviously, around the town of Fredericksburg, Virginia, and
So Fredericksburg is
so
that
it's. I'm just giving you a little context as to what it looked like going into. Um,
so? How far is Fredericksburg from Gettysburg?
so this is where we're getting from. Fredericksburg is actually right outside of Washington. It's not
Okay.
that it's not that bad. So um,
That's the first time I've ever heard of Fredericksburg.
Fredericksburg is not too far away from. Um,
I know what happened at Gettysburg.
yes, and we'll be
I know
getting to that eventually.
that. Yeah.
So the Union Army suffered 12,653 casualties,
Okay.
while the Confederate Army just lost 5,377. So nearly over
Yeah.
double,
Yeah. That's
over
over
double
double.
the Confederate losses the Union suffered.
Jesus.
The main fighting took place over 3 days. So they had to cross the river into the actual town of Fredericksburg, and that took a little bit. And then once they fought through the town,
Mm-hmm.
they had to fight over basically a mile uphill against the Confederate entrenchments. Because it was a mile over uphill,
Yeah, forget about it.
I mean that's a slaughter.
Forget about it.
That's a slaughter. Um, so that's how the Union Army looked going into 1863. On the heels of that defeat, um, he was the Union general who was Ambrose Burnside.
Mm-hmm.
That was his name. Let me give you a little picture here. You might know him. Take his last name and flip the two syllables, and that's where you get the term sideburns from.
Okay.
Because of, I mean, look at it. Yeah. There you go. This is the reason why. Look at those. Look at that. Look at those chops there. Look at them.
Oh, I'm looking.
Yeah. So there's absolutely no hair on his chin, but it goes all the way from one side around the mustache to the other side.
That is impressive.
Impressive facial hair.
That is,
He was the Union general who led that attack at Fredericksburg.
but that is impressive. You know how hard that
He
is.
was obviously fired because that was the only battle he ever did, and such a humiliating defeat. He got fired and replaced by General Hooker. Let me see here. Joseph fighting Joe Hooker.
So,
Now, there is something funny about Hooker.
Mhm.
He was a very known womanizer. And there would be basically a platoon of women following his army. That he basically a platoon of mistresses that he could have fun with. Also known as Hooker's Army, or in shorter terms, hookers.
all right.
This is where the term hooker comes from when talking about prostitutes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But there was not much action going into 1863 in terms of battles and stuff like that.
Mhm.
There were skirmishes, but no real big battles until about May of 1863. And two battles happened almost simultaneously.
Okay.
Do you remember the Battle of Bull Run?
Yeah, I heard of that.
So the one that everyone knows is the first one. No one knows that they actually did a second battle there as well.
So
And
they had a second Bull Run battle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The second Bull Run happened about this time and ended just about as badly.
Mm-hmm.
The one that was even more humiliating was a surprise sneak attack on his, because majority of those troops were engaged in the center and on the right, but the entire left part of the army was exposed. and was completely surrounded around Chancellorsville, Virginia, and crushed. It was a complete surprise attack from a force of Confederates 1/3 the size of that arm of that. It was, but because they did it in such secrecy, they managed to pull it off and kill an army 3 times as big. Um, Now, this battle is Chancellorsville specifically is very significant because of the guy who created the battle plan for it. Thomas J. Stonewall Jackson.
Ooh, okay.
He was the one that developed the battle plan and executed it. And subsequently, when he was on patrol later in the day after the sun went down, he got shot by his own men. He got shot in the hand and in the arm.
Ouch.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good.
Yep. They determined once they removed his arm, they removed the bullets as well and said that it's a smooth bore bullet or smooth bore ball. Had to be one of our own. So he was caught under friendly fire. While in the process of recovery, he developed pneumonia and succumbed to pneumonia in early June of 1863. In the process of dying, but in the wake of one of the largest victories the Confederate Army has faced. I mean, they just had one defensive one against the Union Army at Fredericksburg, and now a huge offensive one against the Union Army in Chancellorsville and Second Bull Run. Robert E. Lee decides, let's make an invasion of the North. Let's invade the North. Subsequently, driving through Maryland this time, this is his second invasion of the North. He went to Antietam last year, the previous year in 1862, and everyone was slaughtered that day. I mean, it was statistically a draw. There was no winners or losers in that one, but we'll get into that another day. And this time he surrounds a little town in Pennsylvania called Gettysburg. Now, what's actually weird about that is that when the Confederates started the battle, the only Union force defending the town was a scant corps of Union cavalry that were dismounted. And actually, the first troops to engage at Gettysburg from the Confederacy just wanted new shoes. There's a shoe factory in Gettysburg at the time, and the footsore rebels wanted new shoes, and that started the Battle of Gettysburg. Now, I have some significance in this battle because one of my family members was a part of that cavalry corps during that battle. And we don't know exactly who fired the first shot, but we know it was from the Union side, and we know it was someone possibly from Illinois or Ohio, one of the two. Because at the time, I believe my family was in Ohio, but It was someone from Illinois who fired the first shot at Gettysburg. And have you ever seen the movie Gettysburg?
Bits and pieces of it.
It's a long movie, so it's a very, very long movie. So, but it goes into detail about like the battle plans and stuff like that. The cavalry was relieved by the First Corps of the Union Army. Now, the First Corps was better known to the rebels as the Damn Black Hat Corps, known for their signature black army hats. In the Union side, they were also known as the Iron Brigade. They were tough as nails farm boys from Wisconsin, Illinois, Iowa. Well, I don't think Iowa was around at the time, but Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, Indiana, just Midwest farm boys and tough as nails. And they actually made some good ground before General Reynolds, the leader of the First Corps, was shot in the back of the head by a sniper. Now, what's interesting is after that, pretty much, the Union went on the run until they met up with I believe, the Third Corps through the town on the south side of the town, and there was a big old cemetery. Seminary. I'm sorry. There was a seminary there, and in that area there was a general who actually happened to be friends with General Reynolds, General Winfield Scott Hancock, which probably is one of the finer generals that never got promoted to being a general ever.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably who never got became in charge of the army. He's one of the finer generals that never got promoted to that position. And his calming presence really stopped everyone from just running out of the area.
Okay.
There's actually I have a book on that battle specifically, and well, it's a book. It's a photographed history of the Civil War. Okay. And during the Battle of Gettysburg, there was someone who snapped a picture of General Hancock that basically was over a sign that says, "All non-authorized personnel will be shot." So, he was very much a disciplinarian. So he's very much the equal to Robert E. Lee in that regard. Disciplinarian, but fair. He was not like judge, jury, and executioner. He was a fair person. And the second day of Gettysburg involved mostly on the so basically the entire Union line was like a fish hook. It kind of wrapped around south of the town and up on two little hills. The southernmost one, the one that's farther south here, this is the one that ultimately was conquered, was Big Round Top right here. There was one called Little Round Top over here, down at the farthermost edge of the Union position. And guarding that was a bunch of Maine boys from the 20th Maine Regiment. Now, if you've seen the movie, this is where Jeff Daniels comes in. This is his unit. And it's still one of the better roles I think he ever did. Jeff Daniels is Harry from Dumb and Dumber.
All right.
He's also mostly known for his dramatic works, but he also did a couple comedies as well, mostly Dumb and Dumber.
Mm-hmm.
A House of the Purple Cairo from the 80s also was one that he did. He was in the movie Gettysburg as well, so along with his brother, who was played by C. Thomas Howell. And that was a pretty good role for him, too. And then, I mean, their position was very weak. And what they did, actually, once their ammunition was... They had no more ammunition. They actually ordered a bayonet charge down the hill against the Confederates, which is all or nothing at that point. It's all or nothing at that point.
Wouldn't that be suicide?
No, because the Confederates were also weak too. And also, I mean, they can't. The 20th Maine Regiment did not have any more ammunition left. So it was basically just all or nothing at this point. Because if the Confederates come over that hill where they're at, guess what?
You're dead.
The entire Union Army is dead. Go over the hill and take the entire Union Army from the rear. And I went to Gettysburg about 10 years ago. And there was a monument. We figured out we were doing a ghost hunt there the first night.
Oh, yeah.
And we went to a house that was used as a hospital for both sides.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a white house in the middle of town.
Yeah.
It was kind of used as both sides for both sides as a hospital.
Yeah.
Now, in our conversations with some of the spirits there, we were in the attic, and we came across a gentleman from New York. He was a captain, and he got injured on that day that the 20th Maine saved the Union line. He was not too far away from the 20th Maine and saw that bayonet charge down the hill. When we went there the next day to Little Round Top and all that, I was looking at this specific memorial because they have memorials at every single position of every single unit. And it was fascinating to see the list at the 44th New York, which is where this guy was from, the unit he was from. And sure enough, the only officer casualty from that regiment was that captain. That was the only officer killed.
Okay. That is really
pretty
fascinating.
Cool. That's fascinating, yeah. And then, of course, came the third day of Gettysburg, which everyone knows.
Oh yeah, everybody knows that. We learned it at school.
Everyone knows this one.
It was
On the
brutal.
third day, now, mind you, the first 2 days were the first day was led by General A.P. Hill,
Yeah.
and most of those units were from North Carolina, Georgia, deep south. Now, on the second day, it was led by General John Hood,
Mhm.
tough as nails Kentuckian, and mostly led like Kentucky, Tennessee, obviously Eastern troops.
Mhm.
But there were also some units from Texas as well that he led. And he actually lost his arm in that fight too. Got shot twice in the arm. So General James Longstreet had not really been engaged yet. He did not really engage his troops throughout the fight. And his largest division was under the control of General George Pickett. 15,000 men. I mean, just thinking about that just gives me chills. Because basically they had to do what the Union Army did in Fredericksburg. Walk over a mile over open ground to the Union position and break it. That's not going to be easy. Now, from what a lot of accounts say, when that attack started, now, mind you, there's been skirmishes all damn day, including a cavalry operation led by a very, very young, fresh from West Point, George Armstrong Custer.
Okay.
He was a cavalry officer in the Civil War and won a key victory on the third day against General Jeb Stuart's Confederate cavalry, and basically held the rail lines outside of town. Now, a lot of accounts when that attack started from Pickett's brigade or Pickett's division, a lot of people said it sounded like a cannon or like a battleship with all guns firing at the same time. It was an explosion, just boom.
Not good.
Through the smoke and haze came a wall of men. It's just a wall of men to men for about a good 1.5 to 2 miles wide. They have to cover that ground at about a mile and a half to the Union position. It's just filled with men. And subsequently, because of the rifling of the Union guns, they did not last long. If they were lucky, if they made it to what they call the Emmitsburg Road, which is about halfway between the Confederate and Union positions, which is now, if you ever go there today, it is now U.S. Route 30. So by the time they got into that road, I mean, just volleys upon volleys of bullets were flying. I mean, about this rate. I mean, just bullets upon bullets upon bullets whizzing over your head. Just, it's a slaughter. There was one that led the backup, the reserve division, or reserve brigade. I'm sorry. General Louis Armistead was mortally shot as he breached the wall. And early on in the fight, Hancock actually suffered a bullet wound to his hip. He did recover, but he got wounded. Now, that first guy that died on the first day, General Armistead, General Reynolds, General Armistead, and General Hancock were all friends before the war started.
Oh, really?
2 of them died on that battlefield.
Jeez.
I mean, Hancock survived, but he was the last one remaining after that battle. So that's about the Battle of Gettysburg. Meanwhile, at the same time, there was a siege going on in the western part of the western part of the states at that time.
Yeah.
This was a key strategic point on the Mississippi River. The Union had already captured New Orleans and was moving south from Tennessee and Kentucky. Now, where the 2 forces converged was right there at the town of Vicksburg, Mississippi. And the Confederates were dug in. They dug in for a long time. Facing the Confederates on the Union side, it was the naval operations was Admiral Porter was his name, I believe. And he just basically rained down hell from the gunboats. But in the Army-wise, the person facing the Confederates was a guy by the name of Ulysses S. Grant. And he had basically laid siege to the city of Vicksburg, basically starving them out. He basically starved them out. And on the 2nd of July, he led a final push to at least try and penetrate the walls of Vicksburg.
Yeah, sure.
And by that point, the rebels had already been weakened. They were eating horses, dogs, whatever they could get a hold of.
Ooh.
And on July 3rd, Ulysses S. Grant gave his conditions for surrender, which is basically, you will get nothing. We will take over everything. Unconditional surrender. Okay. That was his nickname. Unconditional surrender, Grant. You get nothing. We get everything.
That sucks.
But that's how you fight war. And on July 4th, the Confederate stronghold surrendered. Now, a lot of people will remember Gettysburg. A lot of people will remember Antietam because that was more documented. But I think that Vicksburg is the second most important battle of the entire war.
Why do you think that?
Because now the Confederacy was in half. No one can get across from Texas anymore. And basically, by this point, the Union controlled every single direction supply came in. They were blockading every single port from entering or leaving. So every single ship entering or leaving was non-existent. Um, and now they controlled the Mississippi River. So it was basically like a boa constrictor. Basically, what they were doing is basically just slowly approaching. And when Vicksburg fell, that completed that plan of basically just started the contraction, starving the Confederacy out. Now, it's second only to Antietam. The reason why I say Antietam is number one is because we won't get into much detail about this, but it basically led to a political movement that led to the Emancipation Proclamation.
Okay.
So we won't talk about that because we're not in 1862 today. So, by the end of the year, after July, we had fought a couple more engagements.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most significant. Let me see here. Okay, never mind. But basically, Lee had retreated on July 4th. They crossed the Potomac River into Virginia again. Now, obviously, at the end of the year, you started to see some massive improvements in the Union Army in the eastern side. Okay. Started seeing some massive improvements on the Union side.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before Ulysses S. Grant was promoted to entire general of the entire United States Army, basically the commander general of every single operation in the United States Army.
Yeah.
There was a significant battle after Gettysburg. This took place actually in Georgia.
Oh,
This was from Grant's Western forces. Met up with actually the Eastern forces as well, who were fighting in Virginia. This is the only battle that both the Western and Eastern forces joined ranks in the war.
yeah, sure.
This was the Battle of Chickamauga.
Okay. I heard of that.
just outside of Chattanooga, Tennessee, in Georgia. Statistically, it was a loss for the Union, but the amount of losses on both sides were pretty significant. So,
Mm-hmm.
and with more battles like that, the Confederacy just could not
Yeah, survive.
maintain. I mean, pretty much since Gettysburg, it was basically on a defensive battle, a defensive front the entire rest of the war. The Confederacy.
Okay.
Um, and it's now the reason why we chose 1863 today or this week. I mean, we were supposed to do it oopsies, we were supposed to do it last week, which is around Thanksgiving time. President Lincoln, after giving his famous address about the Battle of Gettysburg,
Mm-hmm.
if you want me to read it, I can read it for you at the end here. Well, because it's a very short speech. But after that speech, he went back to Washington and basically said, "We, on every third Thursday
Mm-hmm.
of November, we will hold a day of Thanksgiving for all of our troops who are fighting in this war." So that's where the origins of Thanksgiving come from, at least the date. Now, is there an actual event that took place with the Pilgrims and the Native Americans?
Well, in the
It's
history book,
wildly it's
they said
wildly
yeah.
disputed if even the Native Americans were even invited. So
What I did learn in high school, there was a gathering.
there
But,
was a gathering, but it was probably earlier in the year
but
than November. It was probably like October or something like that.
so you're telling that why would the history books teach us something else?
To whitewash to basically make basically like the rest of it. They don't want to see. They don't want to be remembered as the bad guys
I mean,
because white people always want to make sure that we're always the good guys.
yeah, but it's in the history books. So,
And like I said, it's widely disputed if even the Pilgrims ate with them in November because this would have already had like a deep frost. I mean, look at what I have right now. I have massive snow mounds right now. So it'd be very, very cold if we ate in that part of November, especially around the coast, which is where it was. So it most likely was in October. They just added that story to it just to, I don't know, tell a story, I guess. But um, if you want to, I can read you the Gettysburg Address. It's not that long.
I'm not sure. Would it be copyrighted?
No, because there's been a lot of impersonators who've done the Gettysburg Address, Lincoln impersonators.
Go right ahead.
And this will be the last thing we'll do for. This will be the last thing we'll do for this episode. Okay. Here we go. Ready?
Yeah, go right ahead.
70 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war testing whether that nation, or any nation so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here who gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it, far above our poor power to add to or detract. The world will little note, nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here, dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these men shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
Right. Sounds great.
I should be a speaker now. So that was, I don't even know what episode that was, but that was 1863 in a nutshell.
Yeah.
There were other things happen worldwide, but
Yeah, I'm sure of it.
For one thing, if you guys are into literature at all, Victor Hugo was writing Les Miserables at the time, so
Okay.
I do know that. So take care, everyone. You guys have a great week.
And I hope you enjoyed this one. I'm sorry I was not quite into this episode, but
Yeah, he was a little bit ill, so he'll be a little bit more engaging for next episode for sure.
I hope. But yeah, guys, sorry about that. But I just want to thank Phil over here for taking over today.
Oh, no worries, no worries. And in 2 weeks, I mean, we'll be recording tonight, but
Yeah.
in 2 weeks we'll be releasing the episode that we will have with my dad.
Yeah. So
And we will be talking about what the poor people had in Tudor England.
we're poor now.
It's a little bit more discretionary because, I mean, yes, you couldn't even buy sugar back in those days.
It was that bad.
You couldn't even buy sugar.
Wow.
Most meats that you had if you were poor were squirrel. Rats.
Do not knock squirrels. I heard it was good.
It is
I
good.
heard it tastes good.
But I mean, the royalty got to have all the good stuff, and the poor people got the scraps.
I mean, it sounds like now.
Like I said, if you were poor back in that time, you couldn't even get spices.
Oh, that blows.
Yeah, I mean, all the spices, the cinnamons, and all that were the equivalents of like a massive amount of money.
Yeah. Jeez.
But we'll get more into that later tonight, and that'll be released in 2 weeks. So take care, everyone.
And I hope you guys had fun listening to the history of 1863.
Yeah, the American Civil War.
So we will talk to you later, guys. You have a good one.
Bye-bye.